The ride that wasn't taking me home. The argument didn't end with shouting. That was the worst part. It ended with silence. The kind of silence that follows when two people have said too much and neither knows how to take it back. My boyfriend, Tabo, stood outside the club with his arms folded, jaw tight, eyes avoiding mine. The bass from inside the club thumped through the walls, muffled but relentless, like a heartbeat that wouldn't slow down. "I'm not getting in the car with you," I said, my voice shaking more from anger than fear. "Fine," he replied. "Do whatever you want." I turned away before he could see the tears forming. Pride is a dangerous thing when emotions are high. I pulled out my phone, opened Uber, and requested a ride home. Midnight, cold air. Bad decision number 1. The app showed a driver nearby. Name Hassan. Rating 4.91. Car white Toyota Corolla. ETA 3 minutes. I didn't tell Tabo. I didn't look back. When the car pulled up, I hesitated for half a second. Hassan leaned across the passenger seat and waved awkwardly, smiling too wide. He had an accent, Middle Eastern or North African, I couldn't quite place it, and tired eyes that looked older than the photo on the app. "You are, Nality?" he asked. "Yes," I replied, checking the plate number twice before getting in. It matched. I always check. As soon as I closed the door, he spoke again. "Please be patient with me," he said quickly. "Is my 7th day driving Uber. I still learning roads." Something about the way he said it felt rehearsed, like a line he'd practiced. "That's fine," I said, not really caring. "Just take me home." He nodded, started the engine, and pulled away from the curb. First, everything felt normal. The radio played quietly, some late-night talk show. The streets near the club were busy, people spilling out of bars, taxis hooting, vendors packing up for the night. I stared out the window, replaying the argument in my head, wondering if I should have just gotten in Tabo's car. 5 minutes into the ride, Hassan spoke again. "You fight with boyfriend?" he asked casually. I blinked. "What?" "I see you outside club. You look upset." I didn't like that he'd been watching me before I got in. "Yeah, something like that," I replied, hoping that would end it. Instead, he smiled. "Men are difficult. Women suffer too much." I shrugged, scrolling through my phone. I noticed the route on the Uber app. Everything looked fine. Still heading toward my area. Then he said something that made my stomach tighten. "You know," he continued, "many girls fight with boyfriend. Then something bad happen. Nobody know." I looked up. "What do you mean?" He laughed softly. I joke. But his eyes didn't match his smile. We drove in silence for a while. Streetlights thinned as we moved away from the club district. The city started to feel emptier, quieter. I watched the map again. That's when I noticed it. We missed a turn. "Hey," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "You were supposed to turn back there." Yes, he replied quickly. "GPS slow. It reroute." I frowned but didn't argue. Mistakes happen, right? 7th day on the job. Another 2 minutes passed. Another wrong turn. This one took us off the main road entirely. My phone buzzed. A message from Tabo. "Tabo, did you get home safe?" I hesitated, then replied. "Me? I'm in an Uber. Almost home." I sent him my live trip details without thinking. Just a reflex, bad feeling creeping in. Hassan started talking again. His tone different now. Quieter, more personal. "Where you from originally?" he asked. Here, I said shortly. You live alone? I didn't answer. He glanced at me, then back to the road. City is dangerous at night, especially for girls alone. My fingers tightened around my phone. You can just focus on driving, please? He chuckled. You scared? No, I lied. The car slowed. We were no longer on a tar road. The smooth hum of tires turned into the crunch of gravel. I looked out the window. There were no houses, no streetlights, just open land and broken fencing. Why are we here? I asked, my voice sharp now. This is shortcut, he said. GPS. I opened the Uber app again. The route had changed completely. We were heading away from my home. Hassan, I said carefully. This is the wrong direction. Turn around. Now. He didn't respond. The radio went off. The silence was heavy. You say it is your 7th day driving Uber, I said slowly. How long you been driving, really? He sighed. 7 years. My heart slammed against my ribs. So you lied? Yes. Why? He smiled again. That same smile. Because girls trust beginners. That's when fear took over. Stop the car, I said loudly. Right now. He didn't. Instead, he turned onto a narrow dirt road barely visible in the dark. I grabbed the door handle. Don't do that, he warned calmly. You fall, you die. I screamed. I hit the emergency button on the Uber app. No signal. Hassan, please, I said, tears streaming now. I have a boyfriend. He knows where I am. That made him laugh. He always know, he said. Too late. What he didn't know, what he couldn't see, was my phone vibrating nonstop in my hand. Tabo was watching the ride. Tabo knew something was wrong the moment the route changed. At first, he thought it was just traffic. Then he saw the car leave the main road. Then another turn. Then another. He called me. No answer. He got into his car. He followed the live map like it was a lifeline. Back in the Uber, the car stopped. Middle of nowhere. Tall grass. Abandoned structures in the distance. The smell of damp earth and something metallic. Get out, Hassan said, turning to me. No, I sobbed. He reached across the seat and grabbed my wrist. That's when headlights flashed behind us. A car speeding toward us. Hassan froze. The headlights grew brighter. A horn blared. Tabo's car skidded to a stop behind us. He jumped out, screaming my name. Hassan cursed, shoved me away, and tried to start the car. But Tabo was already there, yanking the driver's door open. There was a struggle, shouting, fists. I ran. I didn't stop running until I felt Tabo's arms around me. By the time the police arrived, Hassan was gone. The car was abandoned. The Uber account was fake. No record of him anywhere. To this day, they say it was just a misunderstanding. A wrong turn. A bad driver. But I still wake up at night remembering what he said. Girls trust beginners. And I wonder how many didn't make it home. Nobody planned for the night to go that far. It was supposed to be simple, an arcade night. Games, lights, music, a little competition, and then home before things got messy. That was the plan they all agreed on in the group chat earlier that week. No clubbing, no chaos, just a break from reality. There were 6 of them in total. 3 girls, 3 guys. Friends from different parts of their lives, work, varsity, childhood. some closer than others, but close enough to trust each other with a night out. They met just after 7 p.m. outside the arcade complex downtown. Neon signs glowed against the darkening sky, and the air buzzed with the sound of traffic and laughter spilling out of nearby bars. Inside, it was everything they hoped for. Arcade machines flashing, coins clinking, old racing games and new virtual shooters. For the first hour, nobody even thought about drinking. They were too busy competing. Loser buys the next game, winner talks trash. By 9 p.m., someone ordered the first round. Just beers, they said. Nothing heavy. They moved from the arcade bar to a casino lounge next door. Still light drinks. Still laughing. Still aware enough to joke about not going too far. By 11 p.m., they were at their second bar. By midnight, the plan was already broken. Nobody was blackout drunk, but nobody was sober either. That dangerous middle ground where confidence is high and judgment is soft. Music thumped through the walls. Glasses clinked. Voices got louder. Phones were checked less. It was one of the girls, Lebo, who finally said it. "Guys," she said, leaning over the sticky bar counter. "We're done. This is enough. I'm not trying to be a headline." Everyone laughed at first. Then they looked at each other and realized she was right. They were tired. It was late, and the city changed after midnight. They stepped outside into the cool night air, sobering up just enough to think clearly again. That's when they made the decision. 3 rides. 2 people per ride wouldn't feel safe. 6 people in one Uber was impossible. So they split into groups of 3. Safety in numbers. The first group, 2 guys and a girl, requested their ride and left. The second group, 2 girls and 1 guy, stood under a flickering streetlight, phones out, jackets pulled tight. The plan was simple. The Uber would drop the girls first. The boy Sibusiso would be the last stop. "Just in case," he said casually. "I'll make sure you both get home." They agreed. Felt smart. The Uber arrived within minutes. A dark gray sedan. Clean. No damage. Plates matched the app. Driver name Victor. Rating 4.89. Trips 3, 400 plus. That number gave them comfort. Victor was quiet at first. Middle-aged. Local accent. Baseball cap pulled low. He greeted them politely and confirmed their names. They buckled up. The city lights blurred past as they pulled away. First, everything felt normal. They talked about the night, laughed about the games, argued over who cheated at the racing simulator. Victor drove smoothly, radio low, eyes forward. 10 minutes passed. Then Victor missed the first turn. "Oh, one of the girls," Ayanda said. "I think you were supposed to turn back there." Victor nodded quickly. Yes, GPS rerouting. Nobody thought much of it. Mistakes happen. The second misturn came 5 minutes later. This time, the car slowed before the intersection, hesitated, then continued straight. Sibusiso leaned forward slightly. "Hey bro, our drop-off is that way." Victor sighed. "Traffic. This way is faster." The Uber map updated. The route got longer. Still, nobody panicked. Yet, they kept talking, but the laughter faded. The streets around them changed. Busy roads turned quieter. Shops closed. Streetlights spaced farther apart. The city felt thinner. Then came the third wrong turn. This one wasn't subtle. Victor turned off the main road completely. No, Lebo said, sitting up straight now. "That's definitely wrong." Victor didn't answer. The car rolled onto a rougher road. The sound of tires changed. Ayanda opened her phone and zoomed in on the map. "Guys," she whispered. They were heading away from all three destinations. Sibusiso cleared his throat. "Victor, we've been driving longer than expected. Can I just help direct you with my phone?" Victor's hands tightened on the steering wheel. "No," he said sharply. The car went quiet. "I know these roads," Victor continued. "I drive here every day." "That's cool," Sibusiso replied carefully. "But you've missed like 4 turns." Victor exhaled through his nose. "I'm tired," he said. "Long night. Need energy drink." Before anyone could respond, he signaled and turned into a gas station. The station looked wrong immediately. Dim lights, half the pumps broken, trash scattered across the concrete. A few homeless figures loitered near the entrance, watching the car pull in. Nobody inside the Uber had ever been in this area before. "This place is sketchy," Ayanda muttered. Victor parked but didn't get out. Instead, he turned in his seat to face them. That's when his expression changed. No more politeness, no more tired driver, just a flat stare. "I didn't miss any turns by mistake," he said calmly. Their stomachs dropped. "I'm taking you somewhere else." Silence. Then he smiled. "Let's see if your tiny boyfriend will protect you." Sibusiso didn't hesitate. He reached for the handbrake. Victor's hand moved toward his jacket. Metal flashed. A gun. Before Victor could lift it, Sibusiso yanked the handbrake hard. The car spun violently. Glass shattered. The world flipped. Then impact. A tree. Everything went silent. The silence after the crash was unreal. Not peaceful, empty. Like the world had been muted. For a moment, nobody moved. The engine sputtered once, then died. Steam hissed from the crumpled hood, mixing with the smell of burnt rubber and leaking coolant. The only light came from the gas station behind them and the flickering hazard lights of the car. Ayanda was the first to scream. Not loud, panicked. Short breaths. Her hands shook uncontrollably as she tried to unbuckle her seatbelt. I can't feel my legs," she cried. "You can," Lebo said quickly, even though her own voice trembled. "You can. Just breathe." Sibusiso's head rang. His chest slammed against the steering seat during the spin, knocking the air out of him. But pain didn't matter. Adrenaline drowned everything else. Victor wasn't moving. His side of the car was crushed against the tree. The impact had wrapped metal inward, trapping his door. His head slumped forward, cap knocked off, blood trickling from his forehead. The gun lay on the floor near his seat. That's when reality hit them all at once. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a wrong turn. This was real. "Cebu," Lebo whispered urgently. "The gun." He nodded, forcing himself to move. His hands shook as he reached down, grabbed it, and slid it under the seat, far from Victor's reach. "Call the police," he said. "Now." Ayanda fumbled with her phone, fingers slippery with sweat. No signal bars. She turned around, waving the phone wildly. "Nothing. I've got nothing." Sibusiso shoved his door open, creaked but released. Cold air hit his face, sharp and grounding. He stepped out, scanning the area. The gas station loomed behind them like a bad dream. Lights buzzing, shadows shifting. The homeless figures had stopped watching. They were walking toward the car. "Guys," he said quietly, "we need to move." Victor groaned. His head lifted slowly. One eye opened. "You," he muttered. "You messed up." Sibusiso slammed the door shut again and locked it. Victor started pounding weakly against his steering wheel, anger replacing shock. "You think this saves you?" he snarled. "You think police come here fast?" Lebo climbed over the back seat, crying now. Ayanda followed, limping but moving. They all exited from the same side and ran. Not far, just enough to put distance between them and the car. Sibusiso turned back one last time. Victor was trying to reach the gun. He couldn't. The tree had him pinned. Sirens cut through the night. Distant but real. Somebody at the gas station had called it in. Or maybe Uber's system flagged the sudden stop. They never found out. The police arrived fast, 2 patrol cars. Then an ambulance. Officers shouted commands, weapons drawn, lights flooding the scene in red and blue. Victor was dragged from the wreck screaming. Not in pain. In rage. "He attacked me," he yelled. "They attacked me." The officers didn't respond. They'd seen the gun. They'd seen the route history. They'd heard the recording. Because Uber records audio when a safety incident is triggered. Every word. At the station, the truth spilled out slowly. Victor wasn't his real name. The Uber account wasn't his. It belonged to a cousin who had gone back home years earlier. Victor had been driving illegally for months, targeting groups, late nights, quiet drop-offs, places where nobody would hear screams. The detective didn't sugarcoat it. "You were not the first," she said softly. "You were just the first who fought back." They never found out how many rides ended badly. Some reports went missing. Some victims never filed complaints. Some never made it home. Victor was charged with multiple counts. Attempted kidnapping, illegal firearm possession, impersonation, reckless endangerment. The case dragged on. Court dates delayed. Paperwork lost. The system moved slowly. Life didn't wait. Ayanda stopped going out at night completely. Lebo deleted every ride-hailing app from her phone. Sibusiso couldn't sleep without checking his doors twice. Sometimes 3 times. They still hear the sound of tires spinning when it rains. Still feel the lurch in their stomachs when a car takes a wrong turn. Still remember the sentence that changed everything. "I'm taking you somewhere else." They tell everyone now. Share locations. Sit in the back seat. Trust instincts. Never ignore the second wrong turn. Because monsters don't look like monsters. Sometimes they look like 5-star drivers. It started raining before the train even stopped. Not a soft drizzle, but the kind of rain that turns the city into a blur of reflections and noise. Water slammed against the metal roof of the platform, dripping through cracks, soaking the edges where people waited impatiently with their bags and umbrellas. The train screeched to a halt at Penn Station, doors opening to release a tired crowd into the storm. Maya stepped off last. She had been on that train for almost 4 hours. Long enough for her phone battery to drop into the red. Long enough for her shoulders to ache from holding the same position. Long enough to want nothing more than to get home, shower, and crawl into bed beside her husband. The rain made everything harder. Outside the station, there was nowhere to stand without getting soaked. The awnings were packed. Taxis were already full. People shoved past each other, frustrated and wet, cursing under their breath. Maya stepped back inside the station and leaned against a pillar, pulling out her phone. Uber. She requested a ride. Driver, Kareem. Vehicle black Nissan Altima. Rating 4.86. ETA 6 minutes. She sighed with relief. 6 minutes felt long, but at least she was inside. Dry. Safe. Or so she thought. When the notification came, "Your driver has arrived," she hesitated. The pickup pin showed him just outside, parked awkwardly near the curb where rainwater pooled. She zipped her jacket tighter and stepped out into the storm, jogging to the car. The door unlocked with a click. Inside, the car smelled faintly of air freshener and something metallic. "Hello?" she said, climbing into the back seat. The driver turned slightly. He was a middle-aged man with a trimmed beard and tired eyes. His accent was thick, his English uneven. "You Maya?" he asked. "Yes." He nodded and pulled away from the curb. Rain hammered against the windshield as traffic crawled forward. Wipers squeaked back and forth, struggling to keep up. For a minute, neither of them spoke. Then Kareem glanced into the rearview mirror. "You are very wet," he said. Maya frowned. "It's raining." He nodded slowly. "My car, leather. You make it wet." She looked down at herself. Her jacket was damp, yes, but her clothes underneath were dry. She hadn't been standing in the rain long. "I'm sorry," she said. "I can just." "You should take off," he interrupted. "Your top. It is better." She stared at him. "What?" "The jacket. Or shirt. Make seat wet." Something about the way he said it made her uncomfortable. "I'll just take off my jacket," she replied quickly. She shrugged out of it and folded it on her lap. "That's fine," she said. Kareem didn't look away. His eyes stayed on the mirror, lingering. Maya shifted in her seat. They drove on. A few blocks passed. Then Kareem spoke again. "You have very beautiful body," he said casually. "Very nice." Her stomach tightened. "That's not appropriate," she said firmly. "Please don't say things like that." He chuckled softly. "Is compliment." "I don't want compliments," she replied. "I'm married." That changed him. His smile disappeared. His jaw tightened. "You should be happy, man, say nice things," he muttered. She crossed her arms, staring out the window. Buildings slid past, blurred by rain. The city felt farther away than it should have. "You American women," he continued, "always think you control." "Stop talking," she said sharply. The car slowed. Then came the sound that froze her blood. A click. Metal against plastic. Maya looked up. Kareem had taken something from beside his seat and placed it on the dashboard. A gun. Not hidden. Not subtle. Just lying there inches from his hand. "You will listen now," he said calmly. "From now on, you do what I say." Her heart slammed violently against her chest. "Kareem," she whispered. "Please, look at me," he snapped. She obeyed. "Do not look outside," he said. "Look only me." The car turned. Away from traffic. Away from lights. Her phone buzzed in her hand. Low battery. No signal bars. "Where are you taking me?" she asked, her voice shaking. "Quiet," he said. The buildings thinned. Streets grew darker. Rain fell harder. She tried to memorize everything. The turns, the signs, the feel of time passing. But fear scrambled her thoughts. Then she saw it. A traffic light, red. And next to them, a police cruiser, idling. Close enough that she could see the officer inside. Hope surged through her like electricity. She rolled down the window and screamed. "Help me!" She waved both arms. The officer didn't look. Kareem cursed and slammed his foot on the accelerator. The car lurched forward. They ran the red light. The police car's siren erupted instantly. Blue and red lights exploded behind them. Kareem shouted something in a language she didn't understand and swerved violently. Maya screamed. The chase had begun. The siren tore through the rain like a scream. Red and blue lights reflected off every wet surface. The road, the buildings, the inside of the car. Maya's breath came in short, sharp gasps as the Nissan surged forward, engine whining in protest. Kareem gripped the steering wheel with both hands. "Sit back," he shouted. "Do not move." Maya ignored him. She clawed at the door handle, testing it. Locked. The car fishtailed as Kareem cut across lanes, narrowly missing a delivery truck that blasted its horn. Tires shrieked against soaked asphalt. The city became a tunnel of motion and noise. Behind them, the police cruiser stayed close. Too close. "Pull over," came the amplified voice through a loudspeaker. "Pull the vehicle over now." Kareem slammed his palm against the dashboard, knocking the gun slightly but keeping it within reach. "No," he muttered. "No, no, no." He veered onto a side street, then another. The turns came fast and sharp, like he knew this part of the city too well. The rain blurred Maya's vision, but she caught glimpses of shuttered shops, dark apartment blocks, graffiti-stained walls. This wasn't a random escape. This was familiar territory. The Nissan skidded as Kareem tried to take a corner too fast. The back end swung wide, clipping the curb. Maya screamed as her shoulder slammed into the door. "Stop!" she cried. "Please, just stop." The police cruiser gained ground. Another siren joined the first. "Back up." Kareem's breathing grew heavy. Sweat darkened his collar. He glanced at Maya in the mirror, eyes wild, jaw clenched. "You make trouble," he hissed. He reached for the gun. Maya reacted without thinking. She kicked the back of his seat as hard as she could. The gun slipped from his grasp, clattering onto the passenger side floor. Kareem shouted and swerved. That was the moment everything unraveled. The Nissan shot through an intersection just as a delivery van entered from the left. Kareem jerked the wheel, overcorrected, and lost control. The car spun, once, twice, then slammed sideways into a parked SUV. Metal screamed. Glass exploded. The impact snapped Maya's head forward and back. Her vision flashed white. For a terrifying second, she thought she'd gone blind. Then the car stopped. Silence rushed in, broken only by the hiss of the engine and the rain tapping against shattered windows. Maya's ears rang. She tasted blood. "Hands up!" a voice shouted. "Driver, put your hands up now." Police lights flooded the wreckage. Maya blinked, dazed, as officers surrounded the car with weapons drawn. She saw one of them yank Kareem's door open, drag him out, and force him to the ground. "Don't shoot!" Kareem screamed. "I didn't do anything." "Hands behind your back!" an officer barked. Cuffs clicked shut. Another officer rushed to Maya's door. "Ma'am, are you injured?" She tried to speak. Nothing came out. The officer opened the door carefully, shielding her from broken glass as paramedics arrived. "It's okay," he said gently. "You're safe now." Those words finally broke her. She sobbed. At the hospital, they ran tests, CT scan, X-rays, blood work, minor concussion, bruising, cuts from glass. She was lucky. The detective arrived just after 3 a.m. Her name was Sergeant Alvarez. Mid-40s, tired eyes, voice calm and steady. She waited until Maya had water, a blanket, and enough time to breathe. Then she asked questions. Maya told her everything. The station, the rain, the comments, the gun, the command not to look outside. Alvarez didn't interrupt. She took notes, nodding occasionally. When Maya finished, the sergeant closed her notebook slowly. "You did exactly the right thing," she said, waving at the officer, screaming, forcing his hand. Maya swallowed. What was he going to do to me? Alvarez didn't answer right away. "That's still under investigation," she said carefully. "But I can tell you this, he wasn't taking you home." Later that morning, they searched the Nissan. What they found made the case change fast. The gun was unregistered. There were zip ties in the glove compartment, a roll of duct tape under the passenger seat, multiple phones, and a notebook, addresses, times, notes written in broken English. Train station late. Rain better. A lone woman. The Uber account wasn't his. It belonged to a man who had died 2 years earlier. Kareem's real name wasn't Kareem. He had overstayed a visa, worked under false identities, driven for multiple ride-hailing apps using stolen accounts. When they pulled the data, a pattern emerged. Late-night pickups, transportation hubs, rainy weather, solo women. Several rides ended abruptly, canceled mid-trip. No complaints filed, no reports, just digital silence. They tracked one address in the notebook to an industrial area outside the city, an abandoned warehouse. Inside, they found nothing definitive, but they found signs, blankets, empty water bottles, burn marks on the concrete, enough to make the detectives exchange looks they didn't want to explain. Kareem refused to talk, asked for a lawyer, smiled when they mentioned Maya. The prosecutor didn't smile back. The trial took a year. Maya testified behind a screen. Her hands shook as she spoke. Kareem never looked at her. When the verdict came, guilty on all counts, she felt relief, but it didn't come with peace. That took longer. She doesn't take rides alone anymore. She stands near doors. She memorizes exits. When a car takes a wrong turn, her heart races. When a driver looks at her in the mirror too long, she feels sick. Sometimes, when it rains, she dreams of red lights and sirens and a voice telling her not to look away. She still takes the train. She still lives in New York. But she shares her ride every time. And she tells everyone the same thing. If a driver makes you uncomfortable even once, trust that feeling. Because the most dangerous rides don't start with speed. They start with silence. The Uber picked them up at 12:47 a.m. That detail would matter later. At the time, it meant nothing. The bar was loud, crowded, and humid. One of those places that pretended to be classy but smelled like spilled beer and regret by midnight. Music thumped through the walls as people spilled onto the sidewalk, laughing too loudly, hugging too tightly, clinging to the night as if letting go meant admitting the week was coming. Jordan and Elise stood just outside the entrance, shoulder to shoulder, watching the rain slick the pavement. They weren't drunk. Not really. They'd paced themselves. 2 cocktails each. Enough to feel light, not enough to feel stupid. That had been the agreement. Elise had work early the next morning. Jordan hated hangovers. "Uber's 2 minutes away," Elise said, staring at her phone. Jordan nodded, pulling his jacket tighter. Good. I don't like standing out here. The street felt different after midnight. Too quiet between passing cars. Too many shadows where people could stand unseen. A black SUV rolled to the curb and stopped. The plates matched. Driver Daniel. Rating 4.92. Trips 6. 100 plus. The number reassured Jordan. Someone with that many trips didn't make mistakes. They climbed into the back seat. Evening, Daniel said, his voice calm, friendly. Late 30s, maybe early 40s. Clean cut, baseball cap. Nothing about him stood out. Hey, Jordan replied. Thanks for picking us up. No problem, Daniel said, pulling away smoothly. Long night. Kind of, Elise said with a smile. Daniel chuckled. Bars always look better before midnight. They laughed. Felt normal. That's what made it dangerous. The city lights streamed past the windows as they merged onto the main road. Traffic was light. Rain misted the windshield. The radio played something soft and instrumental, low enough not to intrude. Elise rested her head against Jordan's shoulder. 10 minutes passed. Then Daniel missed the first turn. Jordan leaned forward slightly. Hey man, I think the GPS wanted that exit back there. Daniel nodded, unfazed. Yeah, accident. It'll reroute. The app updated. The ETA increased by 4 minutes. No big deal. A few blocks later, Daniel took a side road Jordan didn't recognize. This way's faster at night, Daniel said before anyone asked. Less traffic. Elise glanced at her phone. Is it? She asked lightly. Trust me, Daniel replied. I've been driving nights for years. Another 10 minutes passed. The buildings started thinning. Streetlights grew farther apart. The road narrowed. Jordan sat up straighter. Where exactly are we going? He asked. Daniel smiled in the mirror. Shortcut. The Uber map zoomed out. Jordan frowned. This looks longer, not shorter. Daniel didn't answer right away. Instead, he turned onto a road that wasn't paved. Gravel crunched beneath the tires. Elisa's hand tightened around Jordan's arm. Jordan, she whispered. Hey, Jordan said, trying to stay calm. I think something's wrong. This isn't the way to our place. Daniel sighed. You city people, he said, always panic. We're not panicking, Jordan replied. Just turn around. The SUV kept moving. Trees closed in on both sides of the road. Tall, dense. Their branches arched overhead, swallowing what little moonlight filtered through the clouds. No signal, Elise whispered, staring at her phone. Jordan checked his. Nothing. The road dipped, winding deeper into the woods. Daniel, Jordan said, firmer now. Stop the car. Daniel chuckled softly. You two picked the wrong night to be impatient. Elise felt her stomach drop. What does that mean? She asked. Daniel didn't respond. The car slowed, then stopped. The engine stayed running. Rain pattered against the roof. The silence was unbearable. This is where you get out, Daniel said. Jordan's heart pounded. What? I said get out. Elise shook her head. No, take us back. Now. Daniel turned fully in his seat. The friendly driver was gone. His eyes were cold. You're not going back, he said. You're already where you're supposed to be. Jordan reached for the door. Locked. Daniel's hand disappeared beneath his seat. Metal scraped. Elise screamed. Daniel pulled out a knife, not large, not flashy. the kind you'd find in a toolbox. Worn handle, sharp edge. I don't want to hurt you, Daniel said calmly. But I will if you make this difficult. Jordan's mind raced. Think. Act normal. Stay alive. Look, Jordan said slowly. You want money? Take it. Wallets. Phones. Whatever you want. Daniel laughed. If I wanted money, I'd stay in the city. He opened his door and stepped out. Both of you, he said. Slowly. Elise started crying quietly. Jordan squeezed her hand. Stay behind me, he whispered. They stepped out into the cold night. The woods surrounded them completely. No houses, no lights, no road noise, just trees and rain. Daniel motioned with the knife. Walk. Where? Elise sobbed. Doesn't matter. They walked. The ground was uneven, slick with mud and fallen leaves. Branches clawed at their clothes. Jordan counted steps automatically, trying to mark direction, trying to remember how they'd come. Daniel stayed close behind them. Too close. You know, Daniel said conversationally, people disappear out here all the time. Hikers, campers. Nobody asks questions. Jordan's jaw clenched. Elise stumbled. Daniel grabbed her arm roughly. Careful, he warned. Jordan spun around. Don't touch her. Daniel raised the knife slightly. Jordan froze. They walked deeper. Then Jordan saw it. Clearing. And something dark at the center of it. A shape, not natural. His blood ran cold. Daniel, Jordan said quietly. What is that? Daniel smiled. That's where the ride ends. The clearing was wrong. That was the first thing Jordan thought. It wasn't just empty, it was used. The ground was flattened in places. Mud pressed down into dark, uneven patches. Broken branches lay scattered like they'd been snapped by hand, not fallen naturally. In the center stood a rusted metal barrel tipped on its side, rainwater pooling inside it, reflecting the faint glow of the SUV's headlights cutting through the trees behind them. Elisa's breath hitched. What is this place? She whispered. Daniel stepped past them, boots crunching deliberately on wet leaves. He tapped the side of the barrel with the knife, metal ringing dully. Somewhere quiet, he said. Somewhere nobody comes unless they mean to. Jordan's pulse thundered in his ears. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong. This wasn't a drunk driver making bad choices. This was planned. You've done this before, Jordan said, forcing the words out. Daniel smiled without turning around. You don't get comfortable out here your first time. Elise let out a soft sob. Daniel turned slowly, eyes locking onto her. Stop crying, he said flatly. It wastes energy. Jordan stepped in front of her without thinking. If you want something, he said, take it from me. Let her go. Daniel tilted his head, studying him. You think this is about wanting something? He took a step closer. It's about control. The knife glinted as he lifted it slightly, not threatening, just present. A reminder. Phones, Daniel said. On the ground. Jordan hesitated for half a second, then pulled his phone from his pocket and dropped it. Elise followed, hands shaking. Daniel nudged the phones with his boot, pushing them farther into the mud. Good, he said. Now wallets. They complied. Rain began to fall harder, soaking through their clothes, plastering Elisa's hair to her face. The cold crept in fast, biting through denim and thin jackets. Daniel circled them slowly. You know what the funny thing is? He said. If you hadn't questioned the route, I might have just driven longer. Let you calm down. Jordan clenched his fists. You were never taking us home. Daniel stopped in front of him. No, he said quietly. I wasn't. He glanced toward the trees. Walk, he ordered. Elise shook her head. Please, please don't. Daniel raised the knife just enough to silence her. Jordan took her hand. They walked. The forest swallowed them almost immediately. Branches snagged at their clothes. Thorns scraped their skin. The ground sloped downward, slick with mud. Jordan focused on staying upright, on keeping Elise steady. Every instinct screamed at him to run. But where? And how fast could Elise move in the dark? Daniel followed close, his footsteps steady, unhurried, like a man on a familiar path. You know, Daniel said conversationally, people always think the city is where the danger is. Cameras, sirens, witnesses. He laughed softly. Out here, nobody hears anything. Jordan spotted something ahead. A fallen tree, massive and slick with moss, blocking part of the path. A chance. His heart pounded. If he could distract Daniel, if Elise could run. Jordan slowed slightly, letting Elise move ahead of him. Daniel noticed immediately. Don't lag, he warned. Jordan stumbled on purpose, falling hard into the mud. Sorry, he gasped. My ankle. Daniel cursed and stepped forward, reaching out. That was the moment. Jordan lunged. He grabbed Daniel's wrist, slamming it against the fallen tree with everything he had. The knife clattered to the ground. Elise screamed. Daniel roared in rage, swinging his free fist. It connected with Jordan's jaw, sending stars exploding across his vision. Jordan tasted blood. Run, he shouted. Elise didn't hesitate. She turned and ran. Daniel shoved Jordan to the ground and took off after her. Jordan scrambled to his feet, pain screaming through his body. He grabbed the knife and followed, lungs burning, rain blinding him. Elise, he yelled. He heard her scream again, closer this time. Jordan burst through the trees into another small clearing. Elise had slipped, falling hard. Daniel loomed over her, one hand gripping her jacket, the other raised. Jordan didn't think. He tackled Daniel from behind. They went down hard, rolling through mud and leaves. The knife flew from Jordan's hand into the darkness. Daniel was stronger than he looked. Years of physical work, night driving, a body used to fatigue. He slammed Jordan's head into the ground once, twice. Jordan's vision blurred. Should have stayed in the car, Daniel snarled. A sharp crack echoed through the woods. Daniel froze. Jordan felt it too, a vibration through the ground. Headlights, somewhere close. Daniel scrambled to his feet, eyes darting wildly. No, he muttered. No, no. A voice cut through the rain. Hey! A flashlight beam sliced through the trees. Police! Show your hands. Daniel bolted. Jordan crawled to Elise, pulling her upright. You okay? He gasped. She nodded weakly, sobbing. The woods erupted in chaos. More voices, more lights, shouts echoing from multiple directions. Daniel crashed through the trees, desperate, reckless. He didn't see the ravine until it was too late. A scream cut short, then silence. Officers reached Jordan and Elise moments later, wrapping them in blankets, radios crackling with urgent updates. They fell, someone said. 20-foot drop. They found Daniel alive but barely. Broken leg. Concussion. hypothermia setting in. Enough to survive. Enough to face trial. At the station, wrapped in a blanket under fluorescent lights, Elise stared at nothing. Jordan sat beside her, arm around her shoulders, shaking uncontrollably now that the adrenaline was gone. A detective knelt in front of them. "We found more," she said gently. "Your phones. Others too." Jordan swallowed. "Others?" The detective nodded grimly. "Different models. Different cases. Some reported missing. Some never reported at all. They searched the woods for days. They found shallow graves. Not all of them recent. Daniel had been using rideshare apps for years. Different accounts, borrowed profiles, stolen identities. Bars. Late nights. Couples. People who wouldn't be missed until morning. He always drove them somewhere quiet. Somewhere final. The media never got all the details. They never do. Jordan and Elise moved away 3 months later. New city. New routines. They don't take rides at night anymore. They don't sit behind the driver. They don't ignore wrong turns. Sometimes, when rain hits the windows just right, Jordan still smells wet leaves and mud. Sometimes Elise wakes up screaming, convinced she hears footsteps behind her. They survived. But the woods didn't give them back everything.